Good morning. My name is Peter Waterman. I'm a recent MBA graduate from Suffolk University and currently a basic science researcher at Mass General Hospital. This is my video application for the MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference for 2012. What I wanted to talk about today was my research looking at concussion numbers in the NFL. As you're probably well aware, there's a high incidence of concussions happening in all of professional sports. Every day it seems like there's a new article about a player suffering a concussion, players suffering post-concussion symptoms, former players coming forward and attempting to sue the NFL for claiming that they covered up information about the dangers of concussions. And I started being interested in looking at concussions during my MBA program when I set up to design a educational program that was going to bring education and awareness to youth sports programs. I have some friends who work in youth sports, both as directors of recreational departments and football coaches. And they stressed to me that the training was very minimal when it came to looking at concussions and what coaches and players needed to be aware of. So I started by looking at the NFL, and over the past 3 years, there have been a lot of rule changes that have been put in place to attempt to reduce the number of concussions that occur during a given game. The NFL has looked at protecting certain players, particularly quarterbacks and wide receivers who are often in defenseless positions. And that's one way of attempting to reduce the number of concussions. They've also looked at helmet-to-helmet hits and handing out stricter fines for that. And recently, this year in 2011, along with changing the kickoff line in an attempt to reduce the number of kickoff returns, they also implemented much more stringent sideline testing and attempts to diagnose concussions on the sideline. Over the past 4 years, I went back and looked over the NFL injury report and saw that there has been a dramatic increase in the number of concussions reported every season. Starting in 2008, there were about 61 concussions noted on the injury report for 2008, and this past season, 2011, there were 144, and each year leading up to that showed double-digit percent increases over the previous year. To me, this could either mean that there are actually more concussions occurring in the NFL, but I think, my opinion is that players and coaches and training staffs are just more aware of what they need to look for, and I think that's a good thing for the NFL. In light of recent lawsuits against the NFL, players have spoken out and said that it is all about the money, and the NFL is just looking to try to cover themselves with that. But I think that the changes the NFL has done are actually very important. What I attempted to do was looking at these numbers, looking at particular players and particular teams, is sort of try to get an understanding of if there are things that either particular teams are doing well or the NFL can do better, and how this information and this increased education will eventually trickle down to colleges and high schools and even recreational programs in an attempt to teach the next generation of football players that playing with a concussion is dangerous and you need to be aware of all the signs. Additionally, where I've started looking at just the numbers from the NFL, I think that this is information that all of the major sporting leagues should be looking at. You see stories in the NHL, in particular, Sidney Crosby, who's been out for over a year, came back for about 3 games, but effectively hasn't been able to play. As a Boston resident, I know Mark Savard's story with concussions and a lot of players who have to retire early. And I think that as these sports leagues understand what's happening, that they can develop better programs, they can develop better awareness, and ultimately, as a researcher at a major hospital in Boston, I would love to see increases in testing and the ability to test on the sideline and have a definitive test for a concussion. Right now, there are no definitive tests. So I continue to look through the data that are out there and draw a few conclusions, but I would really like to have the opportunity to stand before the attendees at this conference who have much more analytical skills than I do, and hear what their opinions are and hear what their ideas are, and sort of get a better understanding of where this research could ultimately go and what it could ultimately do. So I thank you for taking your time to watch this video, and I look forward to hearing from you soon and hopefully seeing you in March at the MIT conference. Thank you.